fellow readers, it's Joy, and today I have a really fun video. I'm going to be doing TV recommendations based off some of my favorite books. So my criteria for this video was that these shows had to be on Netflix so that they were more easily accessible to everyone, because I feel like pretty much everyone has Netflix. And also, I wanted to try and pick shows that were maybe a little less popular, because if I recommended Stranger Things, it's likely that a lot of people watching would have already seen that show, so I tried to pick some less common shows. So my first recommendation is if you like the book The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey, then you might like the show The 100. Both shows are set in a post-apocalyptic world where kids are kind of having to run the world and sort of take care of themselves while also dealing with a sort of mysterious force at hand. In The Fifth Wave, it's more dealing with aliens, and in The 100, it's more dealing with the native people who have already inhabited the planet. The premise of The 100 is that 100 kids who were living in prison in a spaceship because the world was no longer inhabitable, but when they detect that the world might be able to be inhabitable again, they send 100 of the prisoners down to Earth to try and create life for themselves. Both The 100 and The Fifth Wave are very sci-fi heavy and have a lot of dystopian elements to them. I have only watched the first 2 seasons of The 100, but I think it's a really great and different show that's on TV right now. So my next recommendation is if you like The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Myers, then you might like the TV show Voltron. Which Voltron is actually one of my favorite shows right now. I really love it. I think it is such a great show. It is a Netflix original series that is about a group of... I don't even know how to describe Voltron. A lot like the Lunar Chronicles, it takes place in space and involves sort of a ragtag group who are having to fight a greater evil. It's not technically anime because it is American in origin, but it is animated, and definitely don't let that throw you off if you're not big into animated series or anime, because it is such a great show. It has such great character development. It's got so much humor in it. It is one of the funniest shows that I've seen in a long time, and it is all around just a really amazing show. There is one character in Voltron, his name is Lance, and he reminds me so much of Thorn from the Lunar Chronicles. It's crazy. I swear that they based the character off of Thorn after they read the Lunar Chronicles. The next book that I have is The Lady Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. And for this book, I am recommending kind of an odd TV show. It is called Galavant. It was on TV for only about 2 seasons before it was canceled. And the humor in it is very similar to My Lady Jane. My Lady Jane is a very humorous book. It is set in the Tudor era, but it has very modern humor in it, much like the movie Monty Python, and Galavant is very similar. It is set in the Middle Ages, and the show revolves around a former knight who was brave and heroic and everyone loved him, and after the love of his life is taken from him, he becomes kind of a loser. But the catch to Galavant is that it is actually a musical, and like I said, much to Lady Jane, it is set in the medieval ages but has very modern humor. It's a very odd show. I'm not gonna lie, it's not everyone's cup of tea probably, but it's only a couple episodes because it was so short-lived, so I definitely recommend it. I think it's worth the watch if you are into that kind of humor and you like musicals. My next recommendation is based off of my most current read, which is The Raven Boys by Maggie Steve Otter. I really loved this book, and I was actually just talking to a friend today and trying to describe this book, and it's really kind of difficult to describe, but it is basically about a group of friends who are on a quest to find the magic behind a dead Welsh king. It's a lot, and it's kind of hard to fit into a short little summary, but my recommendation for The Raven Boys is the TV show Merlin. Merlin is probably my all-time favorite TV show. It's the kind of show that I can just watch over and over again. I've seen every episode dozens of times, and it always makes me happy and it always makes me feel good. But as you can probably tell from the title, Merlin is about the sorcerer Merlin, who teams up with King Arthur to help him run Camelot. Much like the Raven Boys, Arthur and Merlin are always getting themselves into trouble and going on adventures that involve magic. So I think that if you enjoyed the Raven Boys, you would enjoy Merlin, or if you enjoy Merlin, you would probably also enjoy the Raven Boys. Last recommendation is for To All the Boys I've Loved Before series by Jenny Han. This is the third book in the series, Always and Forever Laura Jean, because I actually don't have my other two copies with me. They are in my dorm. But anyways, the TV show that I am recommending for this series is The Great British Bake Off. And I'm not necessarily recommending this because they are all that similar. I mostly think you would enjoy this show if you like this series, because I could honestly see Laura Jean being obsessed with this show. I am obsessed with this show. I absolutely love it. There's, I think, 4 seasons currently on Netflix, 3 or 4, and I've watched all of them. It is such a relaxing show, and that's how I feel when I read To All the Boys I've Loved Before, because it is pretty smooth sailing. Of course, there is some tensions at times, but overall it just makes me feel really happy and relaxed, which is also how the Bake Off makes me feel. And if you have not seen The Great British Bake Off and you aren't really a huge fan of cooking shows, this show is very different than the cooking shows they have in America, at least the ones I've seen. It is very calming, and everyone is so nice on that show. They all help each other out. And Laura Jean reminds me of that a lot because she is a very sweet and caring character, and of course she also loves to bake, so it definitely works on that level as well. So that was it for my Netflix recommendations based on books. Let me know if you've read any of these books or you've watched any of these TV shows down in the comments below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!